Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More, back with another video, and today we're talking about crime in Colorado. So if you follow my channel, you know we've had a lot of crazy stuff happen recently. We've had a regular eviction, a squatter eviction, a police standoff at a garage I rent. That person was arrested on numerous charges. I've had my office broken into. We've found a stolen camper and truck at one of my flips, just randomly parked there, and had other instances as well. And just today, we're at the complex, which is the red property. It has coin op laundry, and someone punched a hole through the coin pan and stole probably $15 in quarters from there, but managed to completely destroy this, so we have to get a new one of these too. So very frustrating, and I know some people think, man, you must just have crazy properties, and some of our properties are crazy. A lot of these situations were inherited tenants, but some of them are very nice as well. And so I keep hearing different things from the police, sheriff, the law enforcement who I come in contact with because of all of these incidents, and I thought I'd do some looking up of the stats about crime in Colorado, and it's pretty eye-opening and pretty crazy what is happening here. So on top of that, you might have noticed on YouTube I posted about a week ago, my old office got broken into. A lot of people thought it was my office getting broken into again. It was my old office I used to work at. I'm no longer associated with that at all, but they had a break-in a weekend, 2 weekends ago. Luckily they installed an alarm because of my break-in, and the perpetrators were in the office looking to steal stuff, and then the alarm went off, they left. So I haven't heard anything since then. I don't know if they know who they were or anything like that, but that was another break-in. My chiropractor said Edward Jones next to him got broken into, just happening over and over again. So we'll talk about that. I'll give you some updates on my office break-in, and then look at some crime stats as well. So as always, we love the likes, comments, shares. Love seeing new subscribers as well. And let's take a look at what is going on. All right, first off, we'll give a quick update on my office and what happened here. This is some of our surveillance cameras of the truck that broke into our office. It was used in a number of different crimes and later abandoned. It was stolen, and we'll talk about stolen vehicles in Colorado as well. But and then we can fast forward here to inside my office maybe. Oh, that was the truck. They came back a lot of different times. We're working on better stuff now, security-wise. At least we got them on camera, and we were able to have enough identifying features and video and stuff that the police do know who they are. They're 99.9% sure who they are, who did it. In fact, one of the people who did it was arrested, and there's some other information the police gave me about that, but I don't know how much they want me to disclose or not disclose, which goes into some of the crazy Colorado stuff going on now. But they're still looking for one of them, last I heard. I haven't had an update in a while, but this happened about 2 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. And I'm trying to see if we have a good, where was that? A good view of the one person. There's all kinds of arguments about whether this person was a woman or a man. That was a red wig. That is a guy wearing a red wig. And so they took some quarters, checks, took my camera, some different stuff. Not a crazy amount of stuff. Luckily, they got in by breaking my lockbox and stealing the key, which was actually good because I'd much rather than break a $20 lockbox than a $2,000 door, which is what they did in other businesses, if it was the same people, where they just took a crowbar to the doors and pried them open. And that's how they got into most of the other offices. So luckily our door wasn't damaged. Not much other damage done, just lots of messes and different things in our office. And yeah, some quarters stolen, some other stuff. So that's the update there. At least they know who they are. They have them on numerous counts, numerous charges. I have this full video if you ever want to see it. Full surveillance of my office. I'll try to link it below too. It talks about that. So that's been kind of interesting. There's another camper and truck that we found at a flip that turned out to be stolen. They had like 20 some counts of forgery and different stuff going on. My contractor saw that, called the police, and they said they might ask him to testify at one point when they get that going. I haven't heard recently any updates on that, so another instance of that happening too. But why is there so much crazy stuff happening to my properties in our area? And not just to me, but other offices as well? Well, we'll take a look at some of the crime statistics in Colorado. All right, so this is from the Common Sense Institute, Crime in Colorado, the data on Colorado's increasing crime problem. I'll just read you some of the highlights here, which were very eye-opening because I did not know all of this was happening. I heard about some of it from the police, and you don't know for sure, if those are updated stats, how accurate they are, what's going on. But it turns out what they're telling me was extremely accurate, and that is Colorado is number one in the country for car thefts of every single state. Colorado is number two as far as property crime of every single state. And Colorado's crime rate, violent crime, property crime, pretty much every single crime has been increasing for the last 15 to 20 years or so, while the nation as a whole has been decreasing. And what's really interesting is that entire time while crime has been increasing significantly, our jail population has been decreasing, meaning you'd think with more crime, more arrests, more reports, there would be more people in jail. The opposite is happening. There's less people in jail, which goes a lot to the policies that Colorado has enacted on crime and how to handle it. And I don't know how well that's been working based on these statistics. So some of the things we can read in here. Colorado's average monthly crime rate has been 530 crimes per 100,000 residents, which is slightly lower than last year's peak. It's still 7% higher than 2019, 20% higher than 2008. Incidents of robbery, arson, car theft, vandalism, prostitution, and the purchase of stolen property have continued to increase in 2022. Several violent crimes such as murder, rape, sexual assault are on pace to be lower than 2021. The most significant decline occurred in fraud, due in large part to the phasing out of COVID-19 related payments. So while some of those are decreasing this year over last year and the years before have almost all been increasing for every category the last 10 to 15 years or so. Compared to other states, Colorado ranks first in motor vehicle theft, second in property crimes. This year, Denver, Aurora, Pueblo, and Westminster ranked among the top 10 of 167 American cities surveyed in several crime categories. Pueblo made the top 10 in each of 10 categories. Denver's homicide rate rose even as other major cities' rates declined. I'm in Greeley, Colorado. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm in northern Colorado. Denver is south of us. Pueblo is south of Denver. But we're still seeing kind of similar stuff in our area too, but not as bad as Denver and some of the other areas. I know investors, I've talked to people who work in Denver, agents who are in Denver, and they've told me it's just gotten crazy. The vandalism, the stolen cars, the crime, where they're contemplating even staying in the area, doing business there, because it's such a common occurrence. And then on top of that, the police told me that fentanyl deaths were number 2 in the country. Colorado is number 2. I haven't confirmed that here, but it does have a significant amount of information on drug overdoses, drug seizures, an increase in drugs in Colorado as well. And then, this is the interesting part here. Concurrent with Colorado's rising crime rates since the start of the pandemic, incarceration in the Department of Corrections facilities dropped by 15.5%. The number of offenders on parole dropped by 14.1%. The number of offenders on probation dropped by 14.4%. A rise in crime should catalyze a corresponding rise in arrests, convictions, and incarceration. For the sake of public safety, this is their opinion, and justice for victims, however, the opposite has occurred. So, let's see here. The number of crimes increased in 7 major categories: robbery, arson, motor vehicle theft, buying stolen property, vandalism, prostitution, pandering, and drug possession. Colorado is number 1. The motor vehicle theft rate has increased by another 13.6% in 2022 in Colorado. At this rate, car thieves will steal 48,000 vehicles in Colorado this year alone. I am curious. We have 5.8 million people in Colorado. Let's see if we divide that by... So according to this, not quite 1% of people, if everyone had one, if that 48,000 corresponded to everybody having a car and one person didn't have multiple vehicles stolen, almost 1% of people in Colorado will have a vehicle stolen this year, which is crazy. So, and then more. Pueblo ranks in the top 10 for all categories out of 167 cities: aggravated assault, violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, property crime, burglary, larceny, theft, motor vehicle theft, and arson among 69 cities surveyed by, let's see here, mid-year, blah, blah, blah. Aurora ranks 7th in growth of homicides, 66th in rape, 21st in robbery, 5th in aggravated assault. Denver ranks 12th in the growth of homicides, 33rd in rape, 36th in robbery, and 16th in aggravated assault. Fentanyl, it seized 2 million dosage units more than last year, and enough. Colorado State Patrol has seized enough fentanyl this year to kill 93 million people. Yeah, that's a little bit crazy. That's if they took all the fentanyl seized and there's enough overdoses there. But fentanyl will likely kill over 1,500 Coloradoans this year, 500 more than 2021. Now, this is some interesting stuff, too. More drug trafficking. Colorado's in the midst of a 10-year drug trafficking record. Drug seizures are up 173% for fentanyl and 75% for cannabis. But as many of you know, cannabis is legal in Colorado, and this is interesting. Legal cannabis sales have increased by 166% since 2014. However, sales flattened in 2021 and are beginning to fall in 2022. Illegal cannabis seized by the Colorado State Patrol, which is a fraction of the total legal cannabis seized, has increased 1,327%. So even though cannabis is legal, illegal cannabis seizures has increased significantly, which is real weird. There's a certain amount of plants you can have and pot you can have, so that must be people just having massive amounts of it. Maybe they're taking it out of state. I don't know. So let's keep looking down here. This is the crime rate going up over time, which I mentioned the national rates are going down. I'll try and find those stats as well. The change in crime rate, motor vehicle theft has just gone insane. Absolutely insane here. And then more crime rate stuff relative to other states. Like I said, we rank, this is 2020, we're 23rd, 29th, 4th, 1st, 22nd, and we keep doing better and better. We are climbing those rankings here, as you can see, although our homicide rate is down slightly, so that's some good news. And this is Colorado cities, showing each city how bad it was. Pueblo, this is their top 10 ranking in every single crime rate here. And we're in Greeley, like I said. Greeley is not close to the top 10 in any of those. So even though we've seemed to have some crazy stuff happen, lots of break-ins, different crime, we hear stories all the time. We are 16th in the country in motor vehicle theft. That's the closest. All the rest were right around average, maybe just above average. So it's not nearly as bad here as it is in other cities, which based on my videos, I'm not sure how comforting that is based on how bad the other cities are here in Colorado. And more drug overdoses, those continue to rise. And here, I want to show some other stuff from Colorado versus the country. Wait, I lied. I found this. Colorado correctional population. So this is while March 10th, I'm trying to see here. From 2010 to 2019, population correctional facilities remained relatively constant. From the beginning of pandemic, all categories of adult correctional populations have declined. So they let a bunch of people out during the pandemic. You can see this here. Although there was decreases here, huge decrease, and then a slight increase since then. Here, parole, pretty high, then huge drop. Probation, huge drop. Total correctional, huge drop. Total community correction, huge drop. And so while crime has been increasing and more reports of crime, the people in jail have decreased significantly, which is not comforting. You can see it's increased slightly since 2020, but still, based on the crime rates and the massive increase there, not a huge increase compared to the crime. And here's Weld County Jail in 2020. We had 734, and 22, 570, a change of 164 people, or 22%. And I believe, I'll have to go back and double check this. I'm 95% sure. The murder church I bought, which was a flip I bought where someone was actually murdered about 6 to 12 months before I bought it. The son, who was in his late 30s, early 40s, had murdered his mom, and he was supposed to be in jail. He had been arrested for assault, a lot of other crimes. He is supposed to be in jail. He was one of those people who got that early release. After he got the early release, that's when that murder was committed. And we hear stories like that all the time. I don't know if there's any data and conclusive numbers on how often that happens, but I believe I did see 66% of people arrested right now have been arrested at least one other time in the last 2 years. And then, what was it? Oh, I want to find that stat. I'll try and find that stat. Something like 30% have been arrested 5 times in the last 2 years and still out on the street. And like the people, you can search the Weld County arrest report for some of the things going on, with my properties, and you just see people getting arrested over again, and they're not going to jail, they're not getting prosecuted, nothing is happening to them. And anecdotal story from the police, sheriffs, same thing, they say the same thing. The police said, we have to be so careful whenever arresting people, trying to pin a crime on someone, trying to gather evidence against crimes. It takes us months and months and months before we want to arrest them, before we want to do anything, because if we do one thing wrong, if anything isn't done absolutely correctly, if we don't have an airtight case, the prosecutor will just throw it out, won't prosecute. The sheriff who handles our evictions, a sheriff's deputy, was at an eviction. His vehicle was run over by a front-end loader, by someone being evicted. They chased him down, ran over his vehicle, assault against a police officer. I mean, you could probably charge them with possible, homicide, who knows, all that stuff. The guy got 1 month probation, no jail time, and was let go. And that sheriff's deputy wasn't real happy with that judge, if you can understand that situation. All right, I will try and still find that recidivism rate. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. But here's Colorado versus national crime. This is from 2021. They don't quite have 22 complete data, I don't think. Again, this is a different site, outthecolorado.com. Violent crime in Colorado has long been taking place at lower rates than what is found on a national scale. However, in 2018, that wasn't the case, and it hasn't been the case since, pending a release of finalized data. The violent crime rate was 423 offenses per 100,000 residents in 2020. And the last time it was that high was 1995. And it rose up to 472, I believe, in 2021. I don't know if this site has that data. I did see that before. And so what's really interesting is this shows the pink here is the United States crime rate. And you can see, that's 1985 and that's 2020. I know it's very small. The national rate, big increase in the 90s, dropped. And Colorado followed it very closely, as you can see, some ups and downs. But for the most part, Colorado had a much lower crime rate than average, much lower until recently. And you can tell until, was that 2012 to 2013, this is violent crime, not just all crime. It's been going up, not slowly, been increasing significantly. While the national rate has been real steady, we passed up the national rate for violent crime in Colorado. And then, here's the data. Is up to 476, and with that's without all the counties even reporting their data in 2021. All right, here's another article, CPR.org. Again, talking about crime, drugs, how everything is up. Here's our state. This is Weld County right here. 31% increase. 650% change. That's a little crazy. Denver's right here. And then they're trying to figure out what's going on with the increases in crime and interviewing certain people. And one thing that Colorado did that really changed, you can see the huge increases in murder, burglary, motor vehicle theft just in 2 years. And that was, during the pandemic. But they've changed a lot of their laws, whereas in 2019, a possession law that reduced penalties for carrying up to 4 grams of almost all drugs to a misdemeanor, which means the cases are instead sent to county courts for prosecution. they're not prosecuting, they're not sending people to court who have minor drug offenses. Is that the cause of it? Who knows? But fentanyl deaths are way up. Fentanyl drugs are way up. And I don't think anybody's really, worried about minor marijuana offenses, which is obviously legal, not an issue. It's the fentanyl issue, where if someone has, according to this, less than 4 grams of fentanyl, you're getting a misdemeanor, probably slap on the wrist if you're getting charged at all, sent back on the street. And that could be one explanation for why crime has increased so much in Colorado. Now, one thing they have done to try and fix this issue and problem is they are bringing murder charges against dealers who sell fentanyl that results in death. And just last week, this was all over the news, they had a 175-month sentence for a Fort Collins man who distributed fentanyl that resulted in death. So will that help? Will that reduce things? Who knows? But if people are held more accountable, maybe that will help things in the long run. All right, so I know there's a lot of data and stats just thrown out there, but the gist of it all is that crime has increased significantly in Colorado. Colorado is now one of the top states for motor vehicle theft, property crimes, and has become a more violent state as well, where it was historically one of the most safest states to live in. It is now well above the national average for violent crimes too. So it's not just my particular properties and issues that seem to have increased significantly. It seems to be everywhere in the area. And what's interesting is that Greeley, where I'm at, is actually one of the safer spots in Colorado compared to some of the other statistics we saw in Denver, Pueblo, some of the other areas. So will things improve? Will things get better with some of these new laws? I guess we'll find out. I know the police, the sheriff, the people I've talked to personally have been very frustrated with the situation, very frustrated with how the prosecutors and judges have handled things. And we see that with kind of a huge increase in crime and a decrease in people in jail. So people know they can get away with stuff and keep doing it over and over again. Why would they stop doing it? And we've seen that with the break-ins here, car thefts here, and just that crime continuing to happen. So that's the update from here in Colorado. We'll see how things go. Hopefully things improve here in 2023. It's not quite such a crazy year. And of course, we'll keep shooting our properties we buy, properties we sell, businesses, all of that stuff as well. I just got a new flip under contract that I'm buying here at the start of February. Hopefully it's not too crazy. We'll see. And then, of course, we'll have updates on the store, other businesses, things like that as well, too. All right, thanks for watching. Be back soon.